Hi, my name is Melissa, and I work on the solutions team at Relativity. In this session, I'll be showing you how to use case dynamics to construct your case. Case dynamics is an application in Relativity that assists in organizing and analyzing your case details, such as your case facts, issues, organizations, people, the interview questions, as well as the documents. This analysis helps identify where you might have some strengths or weaknesses in your case, and it can lead to better preparation for things like depositions, interviews, and trial. So in this lesson, we will use an outline to organize our case, analyze documents and create new facts and other items within case dynamics, create a case timeline, and also export reports that can be used for offline review. So let's take a look at relativity and our case dynamics case. As you can see, I am on my case dynamics tab within my workspace, and then on the sub-tab of facts. This is a case that we've already started to develop, but there's more information that we need to add to the case, some additional key facts and people and organizations that we want to add. So we're going to start by doing that via an outline. So we have our Outlines tab that we'll click on now. So in this situation, I actually want to start a new outline, so I'll select the New Outline button in the upper left corner. You are required to give your outline a name. And then if I wanted, I could just start typing information to start developing my case. Or if I have a document, I can simply copy and paste from another document into my outline. From here, I can start identifying information that I want to add to my case dynamics case. So American Industry is an organization that I'd like to add. I simply highlight the text, right-click, and then I can select which object I want to add this to. This is one of my organizations, so I'm going to select Organization. I get a pop-up, so if I do need to make any changes to the text, I can do so here. And once it's complete, I can simply do Add Organization. You'll see that the entry is color-coded to purple, and that matches this legend that we have in the upper right-hand corner. So you can always easily identify what items the text is associated with. Let's go ahead and create a couple more items. So I'm going to create a fact, again just by highlighting, right-click, and then selecting the fact. Here I can add a little bit more information, so I can add some of the date information regarding this fact. And then when I have the information entered, again, simply add fact. Again, it color codes to match the legend in the upper right-hand side. And I also want to add Oliver Evans as one of my key people in my case. So highlighting my text and adding him as a person. I could continue to go through my outline and identify other key items that I would want to add to my case dynamics case. I do not have to go out to those individual tabs to do it. I can stay right here in my outline. In addition, you can link documents. So if I wanted to link a document that revolves around part of the text in here, again, simply highlight, right-click, and you do have the option to link a document. When I've completed all my entries, I can click Save. From here I have some information, so I can see all the information that I've created out of my outline, and these are all hyperlinks that would then take me to these items if I would want to look at them a little bit more closely. In addition, you can also export an outline. So over here you can export the outline. It will export as a Word document, and if you did link any documents within your outline, those documents would export as well. So let's look at adding information from the actual tabs within Case Dynamics. And we'll start by adding an organization. Once I'm in the Organizations tab, I can click on New Organization. This is our inline coding, where you can basically enter information in a very similar way you would in an Excel file. And I could tab through and add any additional information. If there was a certain person that I wanted to link with this organization, I could do so. The same with facts and documents. Once I've selected all my information, I can simply save. So let's go and see how we would do this if we were adding a fact. On the Facts tab, we'll click New Fact, And again, we'll have the same inline coding experience as we did with the organization. And I can start typing in my fact. But I also have a type ahead feature. So if I simply put the @ symbol and start typing, and I want to associate the Union Pacific Railroad, I can select that from my dropdown and continue typing the rest of my fact. Again, I can tab through and add any additional information that might be relevant to the fact. And then you'll see as we get over to the fact organizations, because I used the type ahead feature and selected the Union Pacific Railroad organization, it actually already added it for me. And once I've entered all my information, I can just click Save. If I find there's more information I would want to add to this fact, I can simply click within the fact and it will open up the inline editor for me as well. I can even color code my facts. So I have the little paintbrush. If I click on it, it allows me to select a color and it will color code my fact. You can add information to your Case Dynamics case from the document object as well. So you don't have to actually come into Case Dynamics application to start creating or adding information. Let's go out to the Documents object. When reviewing documents, we have a specific layout for Case Dynamics. You can access it by clicking the hyperlink above the Layout dropdown. That will bring in the flyout layout for you to code information for Case Dynamics. So we're going to create a new fact as we're reviewing this document. So I can click on the new fact, and then I can start entering my fact information. Again, I can enter my date information as well. I also have the opportunity here to add this to a parent fact and make it a child fact. Because this is related to the Louisiana Purchase, I'm going to make the Louisiana Purchase the parent fact, and then this will become the child fact. As you can see, the layout updated to show me now the two linked facts to this document. Because Thomas Jefferson was very key in this, I also want to link this document to him. So I can easily just change over to my People tab, and I see that Thomas Jefferson is not currently associated with this document. And I can simply select him, and when I save, it updates to show that this document is linked with both of those individuals. In addition to adding information to Case Dynamics from a document, you can also link information from a transcript into Case Dynamics. So let's go ahead and look at a transcript. Now that I'm on my transcript, I can find any key information that I would want to add into Case Dynamics. So maybe there's a question and answer that I might want to utilize later or just want to have part of my case. So I can go ahead and highlight a question, right click, and I want to add this as a new interview question. So I have my interview question, I can add that. And you'll see that the Case Dynamics layout then flies out. As you can see, now we're on the Case Dynamics layout, and we can see that that interview question has now been linked. You'll also notice that we have a legend showing that this is an interview question. So now that we have the question, we're going to want to add the answer to that question as well. So I can highlight the answer, right click, and I want to link this to an existing item because I want to link it to the existing interview question. So I'll link to the interview question. It's going to provide me with the list of interview questions so I can select the one that I want to associate it with. It will be identified as the answer, and I can click simply save that. And again, my legend will tell me that this is an interview question as the text is highlighted now in yellow. So now let's look at timelines in Case Dynamics. So we'll click on the Timeline Builder tab. Here we're required to just give our timeline a name. You can also add a title and show that on the timeline as well. You can also add conditions when creating your timeline. If I wanted to create a timeline for a specific person in my case, I could select my fact person to create the timeline only with facts that that person is associated with. Today, we're going to just build our timeline from scratch, so from here, I will simply click Save. This gives me a blank timeline so that I can pick and choose which facts I would like to add to my timeline. I do this by selecting the Link Unlink button. This gives me a pop-up where I can select which facts I would like to add to my timeline. You can also do some filtering, so if you only wanted to add facts that maybe were of a certain impact or status, or if I wanted to filter in some other way, I could do so just to select those key facts. Today I've just added my facts that were identified as high importance. So as you can see, the timeline builder places those facts on the timeline for me. From here, I can do things like color code my fact boxes. I can click on my little paintbrush and select the colors that I would like to apply. Once I have the colors selected, I can also update a legend so that I know if those colors mean something in particular. So I can enable my legend with this button. And you'll see on the right-hand side, I have the colors identified, and I could go ahead and change this to be something more meaningful for me and my case team. If I realize maybe there's a fact that was missing, I can also add a new fact from within my timeline. I do not have to go back out to my Facts tab. I can simply do Add New Fact and enter my information here. And you will see it then plots that new fact on my timeline as well. Once you've created a timeline, it will automatically be saved under your Report Set tab. So if you need to go back to your timeline, you can access it through the Report Set tab. Now let's talk about how you can take information with you. One of those ways is by printing information. If you want to do a print from one of your objects, you do need to have a printing profile. So let's start with the Printing Profile tab. You do need a profile per object that you want to print from. So as you can see, we have existing profiles that we've created for each of the various objects within Case Dynamics. Let's look at creating a new profile. We'll give it a name. Select the orientation. Here's where you select which object you would be printing from. So for this situation, I'm going to print from the fact object. And here's where you can select the fields that you want to be printed out on the PDF that will be generated from your profile. And you can select as many fields as you would like to appear on your printout. Once you have your field set, click Save. You can also provide a header on your profile. Today I will not add a header. You can also select the type of documents you want included with your print profile. These are for any of the linked documents that are associated with whichever object you're printing from. If you select Produced, you're going to get some additional options. You can select your precedence for your productions. So once you've set your production precedence, you can identify how you would like other documents that may not have been produced to be included in this profile. So you can either choose the original images or nothing. You can also include a placeholder, so for documents that do not have a production image or an original image, a placeholder will be printed to identify that there was not an image associated with that document in order to be printed. Once you've established your profile, you can go ahead and save that. Now let's look at the print profile in action. I want to print out facts associated with Abraham Lincoln. So I can filter for my facts about Abraham Lincoln. Maybe these are the 2 key facts that I'd like to include. And once I check them, I can use my mass operations at the bottom of the screen and select the print option. From here, I do have to select a profile. So I'm going to have the options of profiles that relate to the object I'm printing from. In this situation, I'm printing from the fact object, so only my fact profiles will appear in my dropdown. Before it generates the PDF, it's going to remind me of the options that I've selected with this profile, and then I can go ahead and click print. As you can see, the print profile creates a PDF for us. And in that PDF, we start off with a cover page that contains the fielded information that we selected in our profile. This page is then followed by the documents that were linked to this fact. Once we get to the second fact, you'll see that it has a new cover page that has that information from that fact, and again, it's followed by the document that was associated with that fact. So these printing profiles can be handy so that you can generate those PDFs and take that information with you. Let's look at a few other reporting options that you have available to you in Case Dynamics. We'll go to the Report Set tab. As I mentioned earlier, your timeline is also here, so if I did want to go back to my timeline, I could do so. But let's create a new report. There are two different types of reports that you can create under the Report Set tab in Case Dynamics. The first one we're going to do is called a master report. When creating a master report, you can select all or some of the views associated with the various objects within Case Dynamics. This can be very helpful when you're archiving a case and want to retain all this information, or you just want all the information that you've entered on the various objects to be exportable so that you could take it with you. Once you've made your selections, you can click Generate Report. Because this can take some time, I'm going to show you a report that's already been generated. So in this one, I've already clicked Generate Report, and down here under the report file is my Excel file for my report. When I open that, you'll see that I get an Excel file that has the various tabs for all the views that I selected to be exported out in my master report. Again, very helpful once you archive a case or just want to retain some of this information to take it with you. The other report that you can create is an offline report. For an offline report, you have additional options and settings. Primarily, you want to start with, do you want to include documents with this export? Typically, you would want to include the documents so that they can easily be referenced. You also have some options of how you would like those documents provided to you. So maybe I want to start with my produced documents. Again, I need to set my precedence. For an offline report, I also have the option to include documents that were not produced, and I can identify how I would like those provided. Once I've made my selections, I can click Save. Now I have the opportunity to link any of the information from the various Case Dynamics objects in my report. So for example, I can go ahead and link some facts. And I could go ahead and do that with my issues, my people, and my interview questions as well. Once I've selected all my information that I would like included in my offline report, I can select Generate Report. Again, I have one that's already been generated, so we'll go ahead and look at that one. After hitting Generate Report, you will have a zip file that's created for you that you can access under the report file. Once you extract the information from the zip file, you will have an output that will look similar to this. So here I have HTML files for each of the objects that I had associated information from. So for example, I could open the facts HTML file. And as you can see, all the facts that I had linked to my offline report are listed here. I can then click on one of the hyperlinks in order to see the documents that I've linked to these facts. You'll also notice that I have a documents folder, so all the documents are associated in the necessary subfolders based on the items that they were linked to. So you can also access the documents simply by going into these subfolders. This is a great way to take your case information with you. So this concludes our overview of case dynamics. I want to thank you all so much for joining me today. Thank you.